Well, good morning. I thought I'd share with everybody this absolute shock announcement, which has been brought courtesy of two elders from the Annan Congregation at Annan in Scotland, who were carting this morning. And as you know, I don't mind going up talking to the carters whenever I see them. So, this is what happened. And I'm actually wearing up my gardening gear, so I look a bit of a stick this morning, but I'm that keen to tell this fantastic news. Anyway, what happened was, I went into Annan and there were the carters. Would you believe it? You know, a few days ago, we're in Spain, there's the carters. Local town, there's the carters. And I went into the shop, I saw them loading up 2 carts, 2 blokes, elderly blokes. Well, one was older than the other. And the next thing is, I saw people walking past them. I thought, yeah, here we go again, not speaking to everybody. Then I walked past them, they didn't stop me. Then I walked past them again. And the second time they never stopped me. And I eventually I came back, retracted my steps, and I just said, can I give you an illustration? And then I went into my wonderful illustration about the tsunami, which is on another one of my videos, where I basically say that I liken the carting method to be the worst warning method of all time. So basically that's how we kicked off, that's how we that's how we started the conversation rolling. So they said, well, what do you want us to do? I said, well, actually, I think you should actually be telling people the reality of your message. Why don't you just tell them that? You know, why don't you just tell them the reality of your message? And they said, well, this is what we're doing. We're here giving witnesses. I'm not. I says, look, and I actually said to them, I says, look, they've just walked past, and I said there was maybe about 30 people. I said, see all these people here? You're not talking to any of these people here. They're all walking past here, not stopping any of them. And he says, oh, well, we don't force things on people anymore. And then, of course, I dropped the bombshell that I used to be a witness. And they said, did you force things on people when you went out witnessing? I says, no, I never. I says, if they took it, they took it. If they didn't. You never just said, you've got to have this. And there's no ifs, buts, hows, maybes or whys about it. You're taking that literature and you're going to pay me for it. Back in the old days when we actually used to charge people for the literature. So I says, no, I didn't. So his point was a little bit mute, to be honest with you. I couldn't quite understand it, you know, because he says, oh, we don't force people. I'm thinking, well, you know, just don't force them. Just actually stop them. Just actually talk to them. In fact, don't bother with literature. Why don't you just engage it with them? Why don't you just reason with them and tell them what's going to happen? So anyway, as it progressed, I did tell them, I said to them, I says, look, I says, all these people here, these witnesses come past here, I said, all these people walking past witnesses, I says, if you ask them what you guys here believe, they may not even know you're Jehovah's Witnesses, and they'd probably say, yeah, Christmas, birthdays, and the guy said, the blood, I says, yes, the blood, well done. I says, but they wouldn't know anything about Armageddon, they wouldn't know anything about Armageddon. And I says, that's the point. I says, they don't know. They don't know. He says, well, we're here giving a witness. I says, yes, but you're not giving a witness of the reality of Armageddon, are you? Yeah, but it's twofold. Oh, how's it twofold? Well, we're giving the good news, so we'll start them off. We try to get them here. They'll take some literature. Then maybe we'll you know, we can start a Bible study, and then of course we'll hit them with Armageddon. So that's what it was. So anyway, we toed and froed about the things, and the next thing, the older guy says, "Are you like an apostate?" I says, I gave him this scenario. I says, no. I says, I told you. I says, the reason why I left, and I gave him the reason why I left. And I said I lost complete confidence that the governing body are actually in you know, are being controlled by God. I says, that's why. I says, because they kept on changing things. And I said, do you not remember the watchtower with the people all at the front, all the old people, and said, this generation by no means pass away. And I says, every single person on that watchtower is dead now. And he then said to me, he said, but remember the scripture says, he says, it may be delayed, but keep an expectation on things. I don't know which one it is, but it's the maybe delayed one. He says, so therefore it may be delayed, but it won't be late. And I said, it's the same thing. I said, if you're, for instance, waiting for a bus or a plane and it comes plane delay, that means ultimately it's going to be late. And wherever you're expecting to go to, you're going to be late. I said, it's the same thing. I says, look, I says, I don't understand this. I says, I don't understand how the witnesses have got it wrong so many times. He says, you talked about 75. I says, well, that's one of them. He says, yeah, he says, a lot when it says 75, they sold the cars, they sold the houses, and then when it never came in 75, all of a sudden they left. I says, yeah, why did they think in 75? Well, they'd got this, they'd assumed this expectation. I says, yes, but where did it come from? He says, well, they assumed it themselves. And it's incredible, isn't it? Instead of fairly and squarely saying, yeah, the governing body let it slip about the 6,000 years, and they alluded to the fact that, you know, you had to stay alive in 75, that it may be coming, and when it never came, they felt utterly betrayed and let down because they had, you know, potentially packed up sold the house, sold the car, you know, sold everything to just do the last bit of witnessing before the end came, and it never came. And I says, yeah, but it wasn't just 75. I said it was expected in 84. It was expected 86, 88, 70 years from 14 to 18. I says it never came then either. He says, yeah, but he says that day or hour not known by anybody. I says, oh, come on. I says they keep on changing in this. I said to him, I says, tell me this. I says, tell me this. I said, why is it that when God decided he was going to make a nation out of the descendants of Abraham, Isaac and Jacob, and when they finally got through into the promised land, after most of them dying in the wilderness, as we know, another one of my videos, the survivors who got through to the promised land, God went to a minute deal, the minute details of a woman's period, for instance. You know, graphically saying what she should do, how many days she should go out of the camp or whatever it is, how many days she's unclean for. I says, how was God able to tell, you know, the Bible writers at the time and give them direct laws for the benefit of their health, and yet somehow it couldn't even ensure that they understood the correct understanding of prophecies relating to our time period, such as Matthew 24, the generation, the way the Revelation book is getting revised so many times. I says, how come? I says, because he never kept on then revising. He says, oh, by the way, you know that we previously says that a woman was unclean for 3 days. Well, it's actually 5 now. And then a few years later, oh, it's actually 4. They never revised that. It was set in stone, this is what you do. And he went, yeah, but the light gets brighter. I says, oh, come on. I says, the light gets brighter. I says, it will never got brighter back in those days. How come it was set in stone? That's what it says. Why is the necessity to just reveal little bits of truth, and then all of a sudden your old truth all of a sudden becomes a new lie? I says, why is the necessity for that? No answer to it at all. Not one answer. So there you go. You know, we came to an impasse, and they just said to us. He actually said at one point. He says everybody knows about Armageddon. I says, no, they don't. He says, yes, everybody's heard of Armageddon. I says, yes, they've heard of Armageddon, but they believe it's a nuclear, you know, and something brought by man between the Russians, the Americans firing bombs on each other. I says, this Armageddon isn't. They don't know. And one of the other guys said, he says, well, most of the religions. I said to him, I says, how many witnesses then? He says, 8.5 million. I said, yeah, but there's nearly 8.5 million. There's about 9 billion people on the earth. He says, that means all the 9 billion people on the earth aren't Jehovah's Witnesses. They're going to die at Armageddon. All the Muslims, all the Hindus, all the Jews, all the Protestants, they're going to die at Armageddon because they don't know that Armageddon's going to come, and they didn't know they were to become Jehovah's Witness because they keep on walking past you guys and they don't realise the importance of what you're doing. And one of the guys said to us, oh well, he says, you see that they all know what's going to happen. He says, why? He says, because they all base their religion on parts of the Bible. I says, oh my goodness, I said to him, all these people coming past right now, They may belong to religious belief, but they probably don't read their Bible. They have no understanding of the Bible. And he says, well, he says, all these religions, for instance, they go out and kill each other. And yet the Bible says, well, he says, where did they get that from? The Bible says, thou shalt not kill. And yet they go out and get involved in these religious wars. I says, I'll tell you where they got that they got that from, because they probably went to their old scriptures, looked at what happened when the Israelites went into the promised land, and God just said, right, you've got to cleanse this promised land so you can forget about that thou shalt not kill. Just kill the lot of them. Just really go in, women, children, babies, it doesn't matter. The all worship false gods, kill them all. I says, that's maybe where they still have their ideas that it's all right in a religious war to kill people, because they look at the Bible, for instance. So anyway, we got to the point where it was handshakes all round, and I just basically said to them, I said, there's one more thing I just want to say to you guys. Because usually my introduction is Tony Morris. Tony Morris. It's usually the Tony Morris picture. But I did have my phone from him, but I thought I've got to mix it up a bit here. Let's end on Tony Morris. Let's not start with Tony Morris, because if you start with Tony Morris, you're gonna, as I've seen in Spain, you put people's backs up. You want to start off whatever and then end on Tony Morris. So I thought I'd actually end on Tony Morris. So I says, oh, there's one more thing. I says, about 6, 7, 8 weeks ago, a couple of months ago, when you were at the Kingdom Hall in Annan on a Sunday, it says Tony Morris was like 26 miles outside Warwick, buying, filling a cart full of expensive single malt Scotch whiskey. It says Tony Morris. And next thing is the guy from it says, is that the guy who used to present the animal programme? That's Johnny Morris. That's Johnny Morris. He's been dead for decades. He used to present a programme called Animal Magic. And he thought I was talking about Johnny Morris. I says, no, Tony Morris. The member of the governing body, Tony Morris. He says, oh, I thought you meant Johnny Morris. Went, oh my God, it's bad. It shows how bad things are coming, that when you say Tony Morris, when you show pictures of Tony Morris, they don't even know who these governing bodies members, even though they're plastered all over JW.org. He thought I was talking about Johnny Morris. I says, no. I says, get your Morrises right. I says, we're talking about Tony Morris, a member of the governing body. I says that the governing body doesn't like tight pants. And I looked at him and says, yeah, nice, both of your pants are not tight today, so Tony Morris will be happy with your appearance. That's for Tony Morris. And both of them looked absolutely shocked with what I said at that point. And one of them, the older one said, the one who thought I was talking about Johnny Morris, said to me, oh, you can't just be saying things like that. That's with gossip like that's scandalous. The rumour spread. I says, look, I didn't believe it myself until I says, this isn't just a picture. This is a video of somebody engaging in conversation with Tony Morris. It's undeniably Tony Morris. It's his cart, and then they talk about, which is the best whiskey, and then you see him trolling that cart to his car and filling up. It says, it's no doubt about it, it's Tony Morris. Now, the guy to my right has kept quiet during this whole Johnny Morris revelation. He says, well, I tell you what. He says, there was a brother in Kelso, whatever's, and I went up to his house once, we invited up for dinner, and I looked at the back, and there was a whole load of bottles of alcohol. And I just thought to myself, oh my goodness, he says, maybe he's got a drink problem. He says, shortly thereafter, that brother was arrested for drink driving. And then, of course, he had to then go on this course where he had to stop drinking. He says, the best thing that happened to him, he says, it just shows that, mate, you don't really know what your brothers are up to, what they're really like in private. I says, okay. He says, probably Tony Morris has already been removed from the governing body. And the other guy said, yeah, he probably isn't a member of the governing body anymore. So there you go. And I just want to. It's funny, but it's not funny, because in Scotland there is a problem with we have a drinking culture in this country, and I've been to weddings where there's been no alcohol served. The reason being is because they don't want to stumble brothers who may have a drinking problem, or they don't want to stumble brothers who are so against drinking that it absolutely shocked them if they went to a wedding and sat down and next thing that saw brothers consuming alcohol. You know, not even young brothers, I mean about servants or elders or pioneers. They would be stumbled. They're thinking, oh, hold on a second. Because in this country there's this big thing about, you know, avoiding alcohol. It's really, really big. And so me saying that to these two guys, saying that Tony Morris, that it was conclusive proof to Tony Morris that he bought this Scotch, to them it was shocking. And they were utterly shocked. And their first response was that he should be removed as a member of the governing body. That's how much they felt strongly about this. Isn't it funny? Isn't it funny that they felt that strongly that Tony Morris should be getting removed? And what I then thought as I sort of left, and I just thought, my God, this has been on the internet for such a long time, and yet your core-based Jehovah's Witnesses don't even know this. So how much more of what goes down at the Jehovah's Witnesses in relation to, for instance, the child sex abuse inquiries and everything else, and the closing of Kingdom Halls and the financial struggles and whatever, how much more do they not know? Because they're not encouraged, or they won't look at anything unless it's won't look at any material apart from Jehovah's Witnesses unless it comes to jw.org. So that whole thing about Tony Morris, how that was sort of embraced by ex-witnesses all over the world, that the majority, I think, of Jehovah's Witnesses have no idea about that, and probably have no idea about the child abuse either. It's extraordinary because they are told not to watch anything like that. So it just shows, you know, how shielded they are from reality. How shielded they are from reality. They're not able to view something which is an expose of the thing that they believe in. So that was it. That's a revelation from the two elders at Annan, that they believe that Tony Morris, because he's got found with all that whiskey, should have been removed, or maybe is shortly going to get removed from a governing body as a governing body member. I assured them that he probably wasn't. He'll probably be appearing on JW.org very shortly, or talking at conventions, and it was shut down. But I said to the other guy, I said to the guy, I says, I tell you what, if you don't believe me, just Google Tony Morris, not Johnny Morris, Tony Morris liquor store or booze, Tony Morris booze. I says, go and check. I said, please, and I says, I actually felt when I went away, I said, honestly, I feel sorry for you guys. That you listen to what the governing body is saying. And he said to us, and yet there's people like Tony Morris in the governing body, and he said, oh no, it's the Bible. It's the Bible. We take our instructions from the Bible. I says, no. I says, you do not do that. I says, you cannot find the word carting, and I pointed to the cart, says the word carting's on the Bible, and then I pointed to the JW.org, says the word in the internet's not in the Bible. You're taking your instructions of how to now publish, how to preach from the governing body, and yet one of the members of that governing body was doing a booze run, you know, a few months ago, spending the hard-earned money of somebody, and yet there's poor wee children are told to give their money to the organisation, pocket money, and yet you get someone like Tony Morris who's going out spending, you know, a hell of a lot of money on alcohol. So anyway, I left them with that. They said to I says I hope I've planted a seed. Maybe I have. And they said they hope they planted a seed in me. Well, they haven't, honestly, they haven't. But anyway, I thought I'd leave that with you. It was just interesting because I have shown the Tony Morris picture before, but I've never actually engaged somebody and got a response like that, especially in Scotland, where the brothers are quite anti-alcohol completely. Maybe in other countries, you know, where it's not a big deal, but in Scotland it is quite a big deal. And many brothers have been removed due to being of alcoholic instances. They've been removed or disfellowshipped. So there you go. what else can I say? He may have already gone. If the elders in Annan had anything to do with it, Tony Morris would have been taken off the governing body. So he would have been meeting Jesus and getting involved in this spectacular slaughter. In fact, Tony Morris may be one of those going down at this spectacular slaughter. Anyway, enjoy the rest of your day. Bye-bye.